Just a trip announcement. Gabriel, you'd asked me about this. I can tell you that the Secretary General will head out of New York tonight and will arrive in Milan tomorrow, where he's attending the opening ceremony of the Winter Olympics on Friday. As he has regularly met with previous presidents of the International Olympic Committee at the Olympics, he will also be meeting with the new IOC president, Kirsty Coventry. And in a video message for the opening ceremony, the Secretary General will underscore that the Olympics and the Paralympics are a beacon of hope, a celebration of human potential, of teamwork, of fair play, and mutual respect. Everything we need here at the UN. That's my editorial comment, not his. He will call on all parties to the conflict to honor the Olympic truce, encouraging nations to race for medals while standing united for peace. He will be back in New York over the weekend. Update for you on Yemen. Our humanitarian coordinator there, Julian Harness, said in a statement today that the Houthi de facto authorities approved our flights from the UN Humanitarian Air Service for the month of February. Our resident coordinator notes that this will allow staff from NGOs to enter and exit Sana'a. He emphasized that this is essential for facilitating the delivery of humanitarian assistance to millions of people in need in areas under the control of the Houthi de facto authorities. Our humanitarian colleagues note that the situation in Yemen remains dire, with 23 million, this year, 23 million people, that's more than half of Yemen's population, are estimated to be in need of humanitarian assistance. This includes more than 18 million people who will be in need of food, and nearly half of the country's children under the age of 5 who will be malnourished, as we expect this year. Turning to Sudan, the Office of the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs says they're deeply alarmed by reports of deadly drone strikes in Kadugli, the capital of South Kordofan state. According to the Sudan Doctors Network, at least 15 civilians, including 7 children, were killed yesterday when residential neighborhoods were hit. Medical sources indicate that a health center was also struck while patients were receiving treatment. Our humanitarian colleagues note that this follows a series of attacks on the city this week on civilian areas and medical facilities, which have reportedly caused further civilian casualties and significantly degraded already fragile health services. Local sources report that more than half of Kadugli's medical facilities are no longer functioning after months of siege conditions, of shelling, and severe shortages. These incidents come as the humanitarian situation there continues to deteriorate rapidly. Famine conditions have been identified in the city, food prices have surged, and malnutrition as a result is increasing. Key humanitarian supply routes into the city remain unavailable to us. We reiterate that civilians, that medical facilities, and the humanitarian workers must be protected at all times and must never be targeted. Rapid, safe, unhindered, and sustained humanitarian access must be ensured so assistance can reach all those who so desperately need it. This week, our humanitarian coordinator, Denise Brown, met with displaced families at the Al-Afad camp in the city of Ad-Dabdaba, that's in northern state. Ms. Brown heard consistent accounts of extreme violence, fear, and loss after more than 1,000 days of war in Sudan. Our humanitarian colleagues reiterate their call for an end to violence and additional funding to scale up life-saving assistance. This year's humanitarian response plan calls for $2.9 billion to reach more than 20 million people, or 2 out of every 5 people in need in the country. And just south of there, in South Sudan, colleagues of the World Food Program tell us that they've suspended activities in Baliyat County after attacks on its river convoy in Upper Nile State. That apparently took place over the weekend. On the night of the 30th of January and February 1st, a 12-boat WFP convoy transporting over 1,500 metric tons of vital food assistance was attacked multiple times by armed youth in the area. The cargo was then looted by the community in various locations within the county. The World Food Program said that all activities will be suspended until the safety and security of its staff, its partners, and its contractors is assured by the government of South Sudan, and that the government has taken immediate measures to recover the stolen commodities. The World Food Program tells us that access constraints and brazen attacks on humanitarian convoys threaten to jeopardize the agency's ability to reach more than 4.2 million of the most vulnerable people, which are most often women, men, women and children, and the elderly. Insecurity has already forced WFP to pause its plan to pre-position 12,000 metric tons of food ahead of the rainy season in Jonglei State. And in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, the peacekeeping mission there welcomed the progress announced by the state of Qatar in talks facilitated between the government of the DRC and the AFC M23 alliance. This progress includes an agreement to operationalize the ceasefire monitoring and verification mechanism that was established under the ceasefire framework. The mission reiterates its call for a cessation of hostilities and also reminds us that in accordance with Security Council Resolution 2808, they are explicitly authorized to support the implementation of a permanent ceasefire. As such, peacekeepers stand ready to support a credible ceasefire monitoring and verification mechanism within the limits of its Security Council mandate and in full respect of the sovereignty of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The UN mission also welcomes the sustained engagement of the state of Qatar, the United States, the African Union, and its mediator, the East African Community, the Southern African Development Community, and the International Conference on the Great Lakes region. We remain committed to support efforts to reduce violence, protect civilians, and create the conditions for a sustainable political solution in the eastern part of the DRC. And turning to Gaza, we and our partners continue to make the most of the limited reopening of the Rafah crossing and respond to humanitarian needs across the Strip. Yesterday, WHO supported the medical evacuation of 16 more patients, along with 24 companions, through Rafah for treatment not currently available in Gaza. A similar number of returnees was let in last night. Colleagues from the UNDP received returnees near the Israeli checkpoint and transported them to Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis, where, as we reported earlier this week, our partners have established a humanitarian reception area. These returnees can meet protection officers, psychologists, and medical staff and receive water, basic nutrition, and information about available humanitarian services. As of earlier today, medical evacuations of more patients and companions were ongoing. Further returns are expected today. Meanwhile, the Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs says it's received reports of strikes hitting densely populated sites, including a school and several refugee camps. Among those reported killed were children and at least one medic who we're told was stuck while attempting to save lives. And in one area east of the Tufa neighborhood in Gaza City, casualties were reported and some 40 families were displaced, reportedly fleeing tank fire in the vicinity. OCHA reiterates that civilians and civilian infrastructure must always be protected. They must never be targeted or used to shield military activities. Children and medical personnel are afforded additional protection under international humanitarian law. Finally, just a correction, the last medical evacuation through Rafah crossing before the recent reopening was in mid-March 2025 and not May 2024, as I was told as I told you on Monday. From Syria, we, along with our partners, continue to provide humanitarian aid to people in need in Ain al-Arab, Kobani, in Aleppo Governorate. Our colleagues from OCHA tell us that unexploded ordnance on roads and the presence of internal security forces are limiting people's ability to move. Our humanitarian colleagues say that the city is only about 20% of the water it needs. Our partners are providing fuel for an emergency pumping station and to truck water to shelters. The commercial sector has yet to fully resume. Bakeries are open but face fuel and flour shortages. Electricity is also intermittent at best, as transformers have been damaged or cables disconnected. This is limiting the communications and connectivity of the area. Authorities have started repairs, and the International Committee for the Red Cross and the Syrian Arab Red Crescent have also requested access to technical teams to be deployed tomorrow. To date, 52 humanitarian trucks have reached Ain al-Arab, providing food assistance, hygiene items, and medical supplies, a mobile clinic, and fuel support for pumping water and hospitals. Our humanitarian colleagues add that the aid continues to be delivered in other parts of northeast Syria, including Kamishli in Al-Hasaka Governorate, which is hosting the largest number of people who've been displaced in recent weeks. Turning to southern Lebanon, our peacekeepers there, UNIFIL, have concluded a series of week-long coordinated activities with the Lebanese armed forces. These activities focused on joint operational and tactical exercises to strengthen interoperability, mutual trust, and overall mission effectiveness, supporting the Lebanese armed forces deployment south of the Litani. At the same time, UNIFIL continues to support local communities in areas of operation. Most recently, the mission delivered 11,000 liters of water to Meis Jabal Government Hospital to help address water shortage. And here, the Security Council heard a briefing from Alexander Zvev, the acting Undersecretary General in the Office of Counterterrorism. He briefed the Council on threats posed by Daesh, which he says has increased steadily. Daesh, he warned, has been able to maintain access to funding streams through opportunistic fundraising, unlawful taxation, and kidnapping for ransom. He said the group and its affiliates continue to expand their presence in parts of Africa, particularly West Africa and the Sahel. And he highlighted three priorities from the Secretary General's recent report. First, the situation in the camps and detention facilities in northeast of Syria remain gravely concerning. Second, regarding the situation in parts of Africa, particularly the Sahel, the Secretary General has emphasized that regional member states must exercise political ownership and forge unified, coherent joint responses. And lastly, Mr. Zvev said lasting progress requires comprehensive whole of government and whole of society approaches firmly grounded in the rule of law and in compliance with international human rights. I've been asked about the current situation in Cuba, and I can tell you that the Secretary General is extremely concerned about the humanitarian situation in Cuba, which will worsen, if not collapse, if its oil needs go unmet. He notes that for more than 3 decades, the General Assembly has consistently called for an end to the embargo imposed by the United States on Cuba. The Secretary General urges all parties to pursue dialogue and respect for international law. Today is the International Day of Human Fraternity. In a message, the Secretary General noted that on this day we celebrate equality, dignity, and mutual understanding. By honoring these timeless values, we can help to heal our fractured world. We have 6 additional members to the honor roll. I'm going to do a little lightning round for you. Yes, are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. Which country has whose 3 official languages are German, Dutch, and French? Belgium. Okay. On the popular tourist island of Sal in this country, there is a salt crater where visitors can float on the surface of the water without swimming, just like you can do in the Dead Sea. Sorry? No. What? Nope. Sherwin? Capo Verde. Capo Verde. All right. What?
I get 1.
Yeah. Brazil has won how many World Cups? Jesus Christ. 5. 5. Italy and what other country have each won 4 times?
Spain.
No. Yes, Germany. Very good. This country is home to the Statue of Unity, the world's tallest statue with a height of 182 meters. Yes, very good. India. This country is home to the oldest university in the world, El Qarawiyyin.
You know it? Let's get it.
Yeah, you studied there when it first opened. That is Morocco, and the university is in Fez. Finally, there is one country whose name you cannot spell without the word love.
Slovenia.
Yes, very good. Okay, that's not a very good result from all of you. So we say a big thank you to our friends in Brussels, in Praia, in Berlin, New Delhi, Rabat, and Ljubljana for their payments to the regular budget in full. Belgium, Cabo Verde, Germany, India, Morocco, Slovenia bring us up to 47, and we're very happy.
The cash flow is good now.
All right. Yes, Pam.
The talks, U.S., Ukraine, Russia talks in Abu Dhabi, is there any UN presence there? Is there any contact about the talks where there are updates to any UN officials?
I mean, we are not present at these trilateral talks, but obviously we will be kept up to date.
And I think you said there was something planned for the 4th anniversary of the start of the war, February 24th?
I think there's a GA meeting.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Okay. Yes, Gabriel.
There's some reporting that Mr. Lamamra will be stepping down as his position in Sudan. Do you have any comment on that?
As you know, when there's a personnel change, we will confirm it from here, but we will not speculate. Yes, Efrat, please, and then Islam.
Thanks. I'm trying to make it work. Back to the cash flow. The White House told us this week that the United Nations has become bloated and inefficient, and said the administration is ending what it is called inefficient practice of funding international organizations that fail to deliver results. Is the UN blaming the United States for its financial crisis, or does the Secretary General accept that internal management, spending priorities, and also reform failure are part of the responsibility?
Well, I mean, I think, first of all, the funding situation is very clear, right? There are countries that have paid and countries that have not paid. And I think some of the countries that have not paid are some of the biggest contributors. The Secretary General, I think, has been a very responsible steward of the funding that we are given. But he's also facing a situation that is nearly impossible for any manager of an organization or a country, where the more he saves, the more he has to return back, right? So the money that he saved at the end of the year, he has to return back to the member states, even those who haven't paid. So it creates this kind of Kafkaesque situation. The Secretary General, I think, has led on reform really from day one of his tenure. If you'll remember, back 9 years ago, during the first Trump administration, the Secretary General and the President co-hosted a meeting on UN reform and on management reform, and the Secretary General has put a lot of effort into it. He has reorganized large parts of the UN to refocus how we work in a more efficient manner. But the rules and regulations of how this organization works are set by member states, right? And so this is their organizations. They also have to agree on our priorities. They have to agree to give us the tools so we can better manage. And I will say that we continue to work very constructively with the U.S. on a number of issues, notably on Sudan. I mean, Tom Fletcher was in Washington yesterday, whether it's on Haiti or on Gaza. Let's go to Islam.
Thank you, Stefan. Any update on that chemical substance?
No, sir. We checked and there's nothing new.
And a question on Rafah crossing. The humanitarian aid is also flowing through the Rafah crossing, or
No,
mainly?
so far, at least for UN material, it's only done through Karim Shalom, Karim Abu Salam, and the Zikim crossing, if I'm not mistaken.
Medical evacuation seems like really too low, 1 digit or 2 digit. Is it the expected, or are you expecting, because I believe there are thousands of people need to evacuate.
Yeah,
from
I mean,
Gaza.
we you know, as whether it's medical evacuation or humanitarian goods, whatever space we're given, we're maximizing it. But we don't set the numbers of people allowed to go out, just like we don't set the number of aid that's allowed to go in. Of course, we would like to see much higher numbers. There are, as you mentioned, a lot of people who need urgent medical aid.
And last question on Gaza. There are reports that even the video on social media, the Morak water station in Rafah, one of the key water facility, was destroyed by Israel, I think a couple days ago. Any report, any reason from your colleagues, your partners from the region?
I haven't seen that particular report, but we'll check. Oui, madame.
So,
And sorry about making fun of your graduation date. Yeah.
so there's a pending legislation in the Israeli Knesset, basically where it changes the law for death penalty targeting the Palestinian prisoners. And there has been a statement by Amnesty International and UN experts in the past few days about this. Is there any comment from the Secretariat about this?
We stand firmly against the use of the death penalty. Full stop. Sherwin.
Steph, I wanted you for you to embellish a little bit around Cuba. What was the genesis of that statement? What do you know
Well, I
to be
mean,
true?
we've seen the statement put out by the U.S. authorities on Friday. We're seeing the impact of the oil embargo. We have a resident coordinator, and our UN colleagues on the ground are seeing what the situation is.
Are you preparing to mitigate?
Yeah, I mean, we're
maybe-
working with the government to see how we can alleviate the situation. Abdelhamid, and then I have to go.
Thank you, Stefan. I know you mentioned in your briefing about casualties in Gaza, but Mr. Dujarric, there were 23 Palestinians were killed in Gaza, including 7 children. Why these numbers are not, attract the eyes of the Secretary General, issue a statement condemning the killing of 23 Palestinians? Why?
I think we have consistently condemned the killings of civilians in Gaza. We will continue to do so, and I report here on the information that I'm given. Okay.
The second
Yes, go ahead.
question.
Go ahead.
Okay, Human Rights Watch removed a part of its report about the right of return. 2 officials resigned. But my question about the UN Secretary General, what is his position on the Palestinians' right of return to their homes and land they've been expelled from in 1948?
As far as I understand, these are issues that would need to be dealt with in final negotiations between Israelis and Palestinians for the establishment of 2 states, which is something we've always encouraged. Thank you.